before. You can do like a Wile E. Coyote,
Mm-hmm.
tunnel in
Yeah.
a wall. Can you?
No,
I
I
guess
so
would that
to
work?
answer the question, you could make a very photorealistic painting of a tunnel in the wall.
There you go. Okay.
I don't think that works from like 90% of perspective just because how perspective changes you're gonna run at the thing. But your mileage may vary there DM to DM. I'm the kind of person that'd be like, absolutely, Wile E. Coyote run into that because that's really funny. But other people may disagree.
Yeah. Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Minor Illusion.
Ooh. That's the best
Yeah.
illusion I got. This is a cantrip for bards, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards. I consider this one of the two best utility cantrips in the game. It's something I think you should expect to see a lot as a DM if you're going with any of those classes, just because it's neat, it's nifty, it's baby's
Oh
first
yeah.
illusion spell, and some cool, powerful stuff can happen with it. So it's a cantrip, cast times in action. It's got a 30-foot range. Its duration's a minute, but it does not take concentration. It does require somatic and material components. The material components being a bit of fleece because you're pulling the wool over their eyes.
Ha!
You create. I don't know why you don't like puns. Puns are great. You create a sound or an image of an
It
object.
takes away from the fantasy.
Does it?
It does
Top
for
of
me.
plane? No, okay. You create a sound or an image of an object within range that lasts for the duration. The illusion also ends if you dismiss it as an action or you cast the spell again. So you can have one of these up at a time. If you create a sound, its volume can range from a whisper to a scream. It can be your voice, someone else's voice, a lion's roar, a beating of drums, or any other sound you choose. I don't know why they gave us 5 examples, but they gave
Yeah.
us 5 examples. The sound continues unabated throughout the duration, or you can make discrete sounds at different times before the spell ends. If you create an image of an object, such as a chair, muddy footprints, or a small chest, it must be no larger than a 5-foot cube. The image can't create sound, light, smell, or any other sensory effect. Action with the image reveals it to be an illusion because things can pass through it. If a creature uses its action to examine the sound or image, the creature can determine that it is an illusion with a successful intelligence investigation check against your spell save DC. If a creature discerns the illusion for what it is, the illusion becomes faint to the creature. I often envision that as it's translucent and becomes less
Right.
and less, more and more translucent as they see through it. Right? I like this thing a lot. I love its size, and I particularly like it on small characters. Characters that can be within a minor illusion have a lot of extra upgrades on it than I think a medium-sized character that might be too large to fit in a 5-foot cube.
Well, I mean, you still make a 5-foot wall and hide behind it.
Yeah, you crouch and stuff, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think like you can get smaller and smaller objects to fit more conveniently into larger spaces, though, which makes 2-foot
Yeah.
tall characters feel a lot better with this than 6'3" Goliaths. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take this on a 6'3" Goliath. It just means it's going to be, I think, a little bit better on the gnomes and the halflings and the kobolds out there than it is necessarily going to be on, the tieflings.
Yeah.
Some important notes about it. The last paragraph is really relevant to its performance, and it's going to vary DM to DM how much they engage with illusions like this. So, like, rules as written, from my understanding, and this is me recalling knowledge I read a long time ago, things default to believing illusions unless they are wildly out of place, right? So
Right.
if you're in a hotel bar and there's an extra chair at the hotel bar, even the staff and owner aren't likely to investigate that chair as long as it's not, upside down and weirdly hanging from the ceiling or whatever, right?
Right.
So most creatures, by rules as written, will only investigate things they find to be out of place, and that's going to be very nebulous in and of itself. Then how the DM determines that is going to wildly change how powerful this thing is, right? If you're hiding in a dungeon and you you make an illusion of a treasure chest that you hide inside of to try and get the guards to pass by you, whether or not things stop to investigate the treasure chest that may or may not look like it belongs there is going to be maybe even a coin flip might be a way to say it, right? Some DMs will just say, oh no, they see the thing as an illusion and pass right by it. Other DMs will go, one of them's going to investigate it because that thing's out of place and they're not going to continue pursuing the threat. So you are going to have a little bit of push and pull on, depending on how your DM runs, when do creatures investigate illusions. It's going to change how powerful this effect is.
Well, I mean, with the treasure chest example, anybody's going to try and open a treasure chest.
Well,
There
I
could
mean,
be
like, if
treasure
it's
in it.
in their dungeon, it's their
Yeah.
boss's treasure. Maybe they
Yeah.
care a lot less, right? Like, are you
Or,
gonna
you
go
know,
look in your own bank vault? I don't think so.
certainly
It's
not
kind of
my
an occasion.
boss's bank vault.
Exactly, right? Uh, the other mode this thing has, so the thing we kind of touched on is the 5-foot illusions, the 5-foot cube illusions can fit creatures inside them, and because they're opaque to people that don't succeed on the investigation check, that is full cover. That covers
Yeah.
characters and gives creatures everything they could need to hide, which is a great thing to have on hand. And that is sort of like the floor use case I see for this thing is it's cover it with a snap of the fingers. It
Right.
gets way more interesting the more complexity you're willing to think about, the more you're willing to integrate odd things into parts of plans. This does specify objects, so you can't clone creatures. This can't make halflings standing still. This can't make, a minotaur or whatever, but it can, make bloody chains on the ground, blood-soaked chains, I should say. This could make a empty glass on a table that encourages someone to go refill a drink, right? There can be really clever uses with this thing that elevate in the hands of a person that loves playing with illusions, that loves the creative improv that D&D kind of can get known for. It will definitely perform better on those kinds of players' sheets than it will on someone that wants to sort of play this more as the tactical combat game that it can be. So,
Yeah, it could
there's
be
going to be some variance of player.
a false floor on a pit trap.
Sure, this is definitely a thing you can do. If the kobolds go in and reset that, just charge, get them, and then they just go wee into the hole. Cool.
Yeah. Or I've brought this up before. You can do like a Wile E. Coyote,
Mm-hmm.
tunnel in
Yeah.
a wall. Can you?
So
Would that
to
work?
answer the question, you could make a very photorealistic painting of a tunnel in the wall.
There you go. Okay.
I don't think that works from like 90% of perspective, just because how perspective changes you're gonna run at the thing. But your mileage may vary there, DM to DM. I'm the kind of person that'd be like, absolutely, Wile E. Coyote run into that because that's really funny. But other people may disagree.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on sound at all, Bob. What are you using these sounds for?
Annoying people while they're trying to sleep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You really love making NPCs hate you, huh?
Yeah, that's my nature.
Mm-hmm. I love the idea where you pissed off an illusionist, so now for the rest of every night you're in the tavern with them, you're gonna hear under your pillow the banging of drums as long as they're awake, because they're just every minute recasting that thing just to be a nuisance. Oh yeah, I hate that so much. That's gonna start a fist fight.
What are you using the sound for?
Opening, closing doors. That's a really easy one. If someone thinks a locked door got opened somehow, you boy better believe that's gonna call attention to something, right? If someone's
Yeah.
sure that door is locked and they hear that door open, you can cause an easy distraction there. You can easily make creatures react and move in certain fashions by making sounds of things that shouldn't be happening happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very fun tool to play around with. It's a very fun tool to try and get NPCs that you don't have control of to do things. As a DM, this is a really fun thing to play with as a player because I get to try and see if I can tweak the other DM to do what I would have the NPCs do in the moment when they would hear the thing, which is very meta, but very fun for me personally. At the same time, like, this just can be a Wilhelm scream to make someone run out of a room or run into a room, right? This can start a panic. This can try and calm people down with, like, a large calming voice shouting out, everyone chill, right? There's a lot of different things you can do with this, I think.
I mean, you can do like a specific person's voice, right?
Yeah, it can be your voice, someone else's voice, or a lion's roar, apparently.
Yeah, yes.
Those were given
Or the beating of drums.
Or beating of drums. I said 5. There's only 4 given. I shouldn't, over exaggerate.
But yeah, that's got a lot of potential as well. You've got the commander of the troops shouts, "Hey guys, come in here," and get people to do what you want.
Another like real thing you can do, especially in the low tiers, if you're against like a goblin boss, right, and someone hits the goblin boss and things aren't looking good for your team, you using your action to minor illusion the goblin boss. It can be anywhere within 30 feet on the goblin boss shouting, "Troops retreat." I'm not going to say that's foolproof. Can be a real buyout, and I think a lot of DMs will agree that kind of creativity is rewardable, and they will have some goblins disengage and flee, thinking the fight's lost, because they don't have perfect perspective of everything happening in the fight a lot of the time, right?
Right.
That's a very easy way to use this in a potentially incredibly powerful, like, life-saving way.
Yeah, I mean, that played right, that could be the equivalent of fear.
Yeah. And that's a cantrip, right? There's some real potential for this thing. Now, we're talking all of its praises. I do see a lot of times this rots on character sheets it isn't ever cast. I do see a lot of times, especially players that don't necessarily play that much to theater of the mind and like in putting themselves in the space and world around them, finding a lot of ways to get work out of minor illusion. The less detailed environment is, the worse this thing gets, because all of a sudden these corridors are all empty and any object seems out of place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a feature that varies wildly table to table, wildly player to player, to wildly DM to DM. I still think this gets a 4 out of 5 for me. I do think this is a really, really solid cantrip at most tables, and at some tables it's completely cracked. At other tables it's pretty bad, but it's never useless. You can always find something to do with it. I think this is a really fun spell to play with, and I would recommend trying it out for sure.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, 4 and 5 sounds right. It's pretty amazing cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was Minor Illusion. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, leave some comments, tell us your thoughts, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.